Like and follow if you love horror. The Challenger Deep, just shy 11,000 meters to the floor of the Marianas Trench. It's the darkest place from the surface. Light only penetrates about 200 meters. 10,000 meters is the closest to the void humanity will ever see on Earth. Just reaching it was a feat initially considered impossible. Now it had been conquered, and Teddy's cramped submersible was the pinnacle of modern engineering since the last venture to its depths. To assist in the extreme pressure, he wasn't even breathing oxygen. Oxygenated gases left a funny taste in the mouth, not unlike chocolate and rotten eggs. Teddy was used to that, though. He could think of no place he'd rather be than below, his little ship floating within the void. The only thing that even confessed his life in the depths was his life support meter. This was Teddy's morning, his moment of zen, his cup of coffee. Staring into beyond black, into nothingness, silent, still, abandoned, like solitary confinement. The emptiness before him could elicit such excitement. This was absurd to even his colleagues, none of whom ever signed up for collecting specimens. Teddy, however, loved it. It was the ultimate game of peekaboo. It was the only way for a fully grown adult to appreciate object permanence. After all, the void seemed to swallow up all existence. The task was simple. Sit on the floor of the Marianas Trench, in front of the bait cage, wait 20 minutes, then switch on the lights. Record any life forms, collect live specimens if possible, and repeat for as long as there was life support. It was usually just isopods and jellies at this depth, but he was hopeful to record his first bony fish at the bottom of the Challenger Deep. He would force them to name it the Teddy fish, and imagine the grand, plush, stuffed animal he could model after it. The thrilling moment came for the big morning reveal, and his hands eagerly reached for the light switches. Nimble, soft, delicate hands began to throw levers and dials as the ocean floor around him illuminated in an odd greenish gray. And lo, there they were. Teddy's weary eyes were saggy with bags, but widened in excitement he could barely contain. He brushed his slight chin of unkempt stubble in near disbelief. His skinny, lanky body pushed up against the glass of the observation bubble. A pack of 5 bony fish, schooled almost frozen in the extreme lightless pressure of 10K meters below the surface. They appeared to be anglerfish, the first bony fish ever recorded at the bottom of the Challenger Deep. He queued up his digital recorder and spoke softly through his trembling lips. "I have made the marine biology discovery of a lifetime. This is undoubtedly the first vertebrate discovered at this depth, 2,000 feet deeper than the snailfish. Its color is difficult to define in the light, but I'd say brownish-orange as typical of the common deep-sea angler." He flipped a few more switches in hopes the electronic lure would beckon the fish closer. Skin is nearly translucent, so I can clearly make out the very subtle segments of their spinal column. It even has teeth and thin bony plates in its face. Teeth at 10,000 meters. He squeaked in excitement, absently brushing back his ratty red hair. Recording now to clearly verify discovery, but he flipped a few more switches. The electronic lure extended forward, designed to send off the same pulse as an isopod in distress. A live specimen is always preferable. Deploying the lure. And they said I was idiotic to bring a predatory lure to the Challenger Deep. Waste of time, they said. Most creatures are going to be detritus scavengers, they said. Well, these bad boys have teeth. The school slowly drifted towards the submersible, seemingly attracted by the lure. Their fins and tails rippled like they lived in a perpetual state of slow motion. Likely because the water around them was so thick, energy conservation was key to their survival. However, the 5 fish drifted right past the lure with no real signs of interest. Lazily, they began bumping against the submersible itself. Okay, specimen Teddy fish seems to be drawn to the ship. They are currently nudging the observation bubble. Electronic lure solicits no observable response, he said into his recording device, leaning closer to the 5 schooling anglers. The dimensions and physical traits resemble those of the typical deep-sea angler. Mouth is more rounded, almost like a sucker, like the mouth of a bottom feeder, save that they face upwards, not downwards. Subject Teddyfish 3 is roughly the size of a football, its schooling mates in close approximation to the same size. As Teddy pushed even closer to get a look at the gills and fins, Teddyfish 3 slammed against the glass, its mouth stretched open. A circle of almost clear, dagger-like teeth slid harmlessly around the surface of the observation bubble. Woof! It's going to be hard to design a cute chibi version of the teddyfish for a stuffed animal. Wouldn't want to get bit by those suckers. As the teddyfish weren't interested in the lure, Teddy the human considered Plan B. Alright, if you won't swim up to the trap, maybe I'll bring the trap to you. Teddy toggled a joystick, extending a boom with a small basket. The trap gate faced forward, but the release gate faced the submersible. He closed the trap gate, opened the release gate, and guided it over the tail fin of the fish. Then he simply slid the cage over Teddyfish 3, who still suckered its round mouth to the observation bubble. Okay, I can't close the release gate against the glass, but I suppose you can't swim out. With the cage pressed firmly against the bubble, he hit the engines and piloted away from the school towards the base. This is Teddy, CDS-12, looping back to Sub-Bay with a live specimen. Come back. Hey, Teddy. A smooth, robust voice with a slight Slavic accent came through the receiver. What's on the menu? I got my fish. I'm going to contact Guinness, National Geographic, Discovery, and Build-A-Bear, he responded, giddy as a schoolboy. That's great, Teddy, but maybe we should log the new discovery with NOAA and the OOE? A slight chuckle came from the voice on the other end of the comm, obviously charmed by Teddy's usual antics. We'll get the bay prepared. Ping us when you're here. Home base was a simple design. Like the International Space Station, simplicity was key to the success of its engineering. It was nothing more than 4 metal tubes which ended in 4 metal bubbles, in the shape of a rounded square that connected it to a central bay. The submersibles would pop up under the bay, vent all excess gas to stabilize the pressure, then surface in the center. Once the craft had completely surfaced, the hatch to CDS-12 slid open and out popped the narrow frame of Teddy. Today's the day, Simon, he said in excitement, wrapping his long skinny arms around the Slavic man and planting a big wet kiss on his lips. All right, easy does it, cowboy. That was Simon's pet name for all Americans. Teddy ruffled Simon's thick black hair and poked his proud nose. On the surface, the bronze athletic Simon was normally out of Teddy's league. 10K down, however, they bonded over their love of the ocean. That, and being trapped in a small cluster of tubes, limited the options when one was horny. Teddy was certainly happy to accept those advantages. All right, Slim, what'd you bring us? Their senior officer, Sarah Walker, was taller and rounder than both men, yet she managed the cramped conditions of the lab expertly. She was more than comfortable being a little cramped from yoga practice. After pulling back her ash-black plume of hair that resembled a pyroclastic flow, she ran her dark hands down her round face. Slightly weary-eyed, she adjusted her glasses secured by safety goggles. Is the specimen being held in a trap by the observation bubble? Sorry, Sarah, Teddy shied away, scratching the back of his head. They weren't drawn to the electric pulse of the lure. I had to improvise. You're lucky you didn't scratch the damn glass. The slightest chip could have compromised the physics of the bubble and crushed you like a soda can. Sarah was annoyed, but for a good reason. The design of every vehicle and structure at their current depth had to be perfect. Everything was purposefully configured right down to the potential flaws to prevent catastrophic failure in case of a breach. Hey, how many did you try to get? Simon asked as he noticed 4 other fish suckered to the body of the submersible. Huh, they must have latched on as I was kidnapping their buddy. I had no idea they'd do that. I wouldn't have bothered with the trap. Teddy shrugged at the discovery. More fish meant more specimens to study. Simon, go get the net, Sarah ordered, not taking her eyes off Teddyfish 3. Teddy, you get back into CDS-12 and get ready to withdraw the boom. The plan was to slip the net between the